Cook, Breaking Barriers to the World of Travel by Jacob Lucenti. In early 19th century England, there was no such thing as travel for leisure. Thomas Cook, the father of modern tourism, made it possible for not only the rich, but ordinary working people to take holidays. He invented the idea of package travel, which eliminated the headache of scheduling transportation, lodging, and meals at a destination. He made it so that anybody could travel for recreation without paying more than a few shillings. Oh, hello, a telegram for me? Thank you. Goodbye. Mr. Gilmore of Leicester Daily, arriving at 3 p.m. for interview concerning your employer, Thomas Cook. Oh, I have not read Mr. Cook's obituary yet. Thomas Cook died peacefully at his residence, Thorncroft, on July 18, 1892. He'll be interred at Welford Road Cemetery, Leicester. He is survived by his eldest son, John Mason Cook of Thomas Cook and Son, who was predeceased by his wife, Marion Mason Cook, his son Henry Cook, and his daughter. Mr. Gilmore, very good to meet you. Please come in. Here, let me get your coat. Please do sit down. Have you read Mr. Cook's obituary yet? Where would you like me to begin? Very good. I was 14 when I first met Mr. Cook. He hired me for odd jobs in his carpentry shop in Market Harborough. I admit I don't know much about his childhood. I did hear that his father died when he was only 4 and that he became a cabinetry apprentice under his uncle at 15. He told me I reminded him of himself. He talked about his work for the Baptist church, though. He told me about being a traveling missionary and a Sunday school teacher. In fact, he married Miss Marianne Mason, another Sunday school teacher. In 1836, Mr. Cook and his wife started to take a firm stand for temperance. He was good at organizing and would plan alcohol-free entertainment and social activities called rational recreation. In 1841, just after their daughter was born, Thomas Cook planned a trip for 500 people to travel from Leicester to Loughborough in order to attend a temperance meeting. The trip was successful and the attendees were pleased. This was the start of what would become his life's business. In fall of that year, Thomas Cook moved to Leicester, where there was a larger temperance society. There, he opened a print shop and bookstore. What did he print? Oh, pamphlets and magazines about temperance, such as the Temperance Messenger and the Children's Temperance Magazine. He sold these along with everyday newspapers and brochures in his bookstore. In 1845, Thomas Cook decided to take advantage of the expanding railways all over England and begin an excursion business for profit. He had a network of connections in the railroad business and a reputation for organizing good holidays. This helped him start solidly. He organized his first tour the same year. 350 people traveled from Leicester to Liverpool at the cost of 10 to 15 shillings apiece. Each tourist received a handbook containing traveling advice and encouragement to abstain from alcohol. This was one of those handbooks. Oh, you asked about Scotland? Well, Cook's tour to Scotland did not run as smoothly as he had hoped. The trains he rented had out of refreshments or toilets, so when the passengers arrived at the seashore, they were miserable. The steamer they boarded did not have enough cabins to accommodate it all, and a storm blew over, drenching everybody standing on deck. No, he was not discouraged. He briefly focused on his bookstore. In fact, just 5 years later, in 1851, Thomas Cook took more than 150,000 visitors to the Great Exhibition. Joseph Paxton The architect of the Crystal Palace suggested that trip, and it gave Thomas Cook worldwide fame. Rapidly began expanding his company with channel crossings, tours through Europe, and mountain treks in Switzerland. 1864 was the year that John Cook, his eldest son, joined the firm. By 1871, the firm had 3 offices with a full staff. Tours were expanded to Egypt, Italy, and India. Thomas Cook's first round-the-world tour took place from 1872 to 1873 and was 222 days long. Along with the company's success came trouble with John Cook. And while his father personally guided the round-the-world tour, John Cook moved the company's main office to London without the permission of his father. The relationship started to decline, and just 5 years later, Thomas Cook had had enough and resigned from the firm, leaving it to his son. That same year, I decided to leave the firm also. Why? Because of John Cook, that's why. He stole the business from his father and was an unpleasant employer. Instead, I took a position to manage one of Thomas Cook's coffee houses. Thomas Cook was a good man to work under. He was thoughtful and kind. John Cook was worried more about profit than people, and many people were disappointed when Thomas Cook left. And now, he's passed quietly. Just 1 year after his company celebrated its silver jubilee without its founder. Hello, Oscar Smith here from BBC News. Today, September 23rd, 2019, marks the end of a great era. The Thomas Cook Company has filed bankruptcy after serving travelers for over 178 years. Realizing it was in financial trouble, Thomas Cook recently asked for a £250 million government loan. It was refused. Plans have been grounded as Thomas Cook announced his closing earlier today. Tens of thousands of people have been left stranded all over the world. 21,000 employees have been left without a job, including 9,000 in the United Kingdom alone. What happened? Possibly the fact that Thomas Cook and many walk-in travel agencies and had not adjusted to a modern internet-driven world? Here's the official statement of Peter Frankhauser, Chief Executive of Thomas Cook. Despite huge efforts over a number of months and further intense negotiations in recent days, we have not been able to secure a deal to save our business. I would like to say sorry to all our customers, those who are on holiday with us now, and those who have booked with us in the coming months. Finally, I would like to apologize to the many thousands of hoteliers and suppliers who have stuck by our business in good times and in bad. It is deeply distressing to me that it has not been possible to save one of the most loved brands in travel. We'll be following the story closely. Oscar Smith, BBC News. Thomas Cook truly broke barriers by opening up the world of travel to people of the late 19th century. He was the first person to make a successful business based entirely on the tourism industry, and he led the way for chartered flights, tourist resorts, and travelers' checks. He took advantage of the Industrial Revolution, newly laid railways, and desire for adventure springing up in people's lives to create a company that would last almost 180 years.